Ms. Hasha, well, it's a few hours' time before the President does deliver that State of the Nation address, and we're speaking to as many economists today as we can to get their sense of what we can expect to come out of it. We've just had Lesiba Mothata, he's a chief economist from Investment Solutions, come through to us to give us his thoughts on what to expect. So, very welcome to you. Big welcome to you. What do you expect Jacob Zuma to tell us this evening on the SONA?
I think there will be a tone that is a lot more different from the previous one. There's a much more focus on the economy now. The tone, the message that's going to come out of there is going to be much more decisive in terms of what the economic plan is. It's clear that there's a need to grow this economy faster. The needs of the youth and those that are in employment are just screaming back to the governing party, and they've made concessions to say we're listening, we're hearing you. So I'm looking forward to hearing clarity on what's going to be done very practically on reforms. I know land reform is top of mind. I know the financial services sector, they talk about it being more involved, more representative of who is in the country in terms of participation, especially on ownership. I understand that there's a discussion around agriculture and making it part of an integral construct of how we're going to grow the economy. So I would expect a lot more discussion about the economy as we have seen last year, but much more this time with more granularity of detail.
There seems to have been this buzz phrase, radical economic transformation, pardon me. We've heard it before, and that's likely to be a theme right now. Isn't there a danger of just more talk and less implementation? Of course, we know that the EFF is there in the wings and it's gaining a lot of traction. I did put this question to Ian Cruikshanks just before, to say that there's a lot of political pressure on the ANC to be more radical. But can they afford to be, given the fact that we are beholden to the markets and to international investors and so on and so forth? How do you get that balance right between transforming things so that black people have a better stake in the economy, while at the same time not scaring away investors?
Yeah, so we just need to define what radical means, and the way I think about it is that ideally, the more people that are representative of the country are taking part in the economic ownership, the better it becomes for that country. And for that reason, I think there's a lot of merits to think about it radically. Will it be practical enough? Will it be implementable enough? That's still to be seen. But there's a different allowance. Remember, this has happened over and over again. But where we are now, we are sitting at a point where growth, if it doesn't arrive, rating agencies are on our case. Not only that, internally, there could be a social unrest if people continue to go hungry without any change of their livelihood. So there is an urgency of making these things happen, and I would imagine that radicality is within a construct of sanity, of things that are not just destructive as one will hear elsewhere, because that which is put out by opposition parties could prove very challenging in how it's going to be implemented. I don't think that's the tone that's coming out of the incumbents.
There's been a criticism levelled at the ANC and the ANC government. That is, there's been too much concentration on internal politics rather than actually focusing on the ball of getting the economy going. To what extent do you think that will be the truth in this year, which is a significant elective year for the ANC?
I think it's a challenging time. It is quite a democratic institution. There ought to be conversations, there ought to be contestation for these leadership positions. It gets problematic if we have issues around, for example, the Ministry of Finance that leaches into confidence, that leaches into other issues that could actually constrain economic activity. So for that reason, I would expect this year a much more mature, political, tough discussions, as it were, before the electoral conference happens later this year. So I think it's better when you look how the markets are responding to what's happening here. There is some optimism that's coming through. There's cyclical GDP growth that's going to arrive. There's also inflows that are coming back into government bonds in South Africa, all those suggest that people are beginning to expect a much more mature political, but very difficult political outcome for 2017.
Okay, well, let's wait and see what really happens. Thanks very much for your time, Lesiba. That was Lesiba Mothata. He's Chief Economist at Investment Solutions. Well, after the break, we'll have more stuff for you.